grave I visited most belongs to a person I've never met. Josh Smith died of cancer when he was 20. His younger brother Andrew was just 3 at the time. I was also 3 and lived across the street. I met Andrew the year we turned 4 in preschool. He had a cat named Goose, and I had a stuffed turtle named Frog, and we became friends. Our mothers also became friends, and every day after we got on the school bus, they went inside for a cup of tea. We waited for the bus at the end of Andrew's driveway next to a small apple tree planted in Josh's memory. The morning cups of tea were possible when both our moms, my mom and Andrew's mom, Sarah, were able to stay home. But when my parents got divorced, my mom needed to go back to work, and she needed childcare for my brother and me. I don't know if she had any idea what she was getting herself into, but Sarah decided to start taking care of us. So my brother and I crossed the street and spent time at her house, what felt like all the time. But when I was a kid, I don't think I could tell the difference between friendship and childcare. There was not a room in that house, including the porch, that did not have a family portrait. There were oversized frames with Josh, his long 80s-style hair, his face round like his mom's, and his arms around teeny tiny Andrew, and small, square-sized prints in frames on shelves. When the boys were busy playing their games together, I spent time with Sarah, either following her around the house or playing our favorite board game, Guess Who, for hours at the kitchen table. She was never afraid to talk about Josh, so I was never afraid to ask questions. Things like, is your person wearing a red shirt? So who's this in that picture again? Josh was still such an active part of their household that it's hard to remember what I was told about him, what I picked up along the way, and what I created in my mind. Every summer, Sarah would take the 3 of us across town to the pool. On the way home, the path took us past Josh's cemetery, so stopping became part of our routine. We would go to the pool, go to the cemetery, go to Cumbies for a snack, and go home. Pool, cemetery, snack, home, repeat. At the cemetery, I like to turn on the big outdoor spigot and water all of the flowers. It could have been a somber place, but Sarah had made the choice to have one of Josh's photos engraved on the stone so that his familiar face was right there, just like inside their living room. Even though he would have been quite a lot older than us, I know that Josh would have been really cool, and I think he would have brought the boys' favorite junk food to them, which was, of course, Andy's hot fries. And I think he would have beaten them in their favorite video games, which have been really fun for me to watch, especially all of the original Sega games. Josh's gift to me was music, like a mixtape from the afterlife, but with just one artist, Cat Stevens. I don't think that I ever would have gotten interested in him if I hadn't have known that he was one of Josh's favorites. When did I learn this? Was it riding in the back of Sarah's big old car or drinking my own cup of cold lemon singer tea with her in the kitchen? I'll never really know. Maybe Josh would have helped Andrew learn to drive. He did help me learn to drive, but in a different way. Josh's cemetery wasn't just on the way home from the pool. It was on the way to a lot of places, partly because we lived in a small town with only one major highway. And I started driving before we had reliable cell service and before we had GPSs in cars. So my mom drew me a lot of handwritten maps, a lot. My hand-me-down Jeep Wrangler was filled with them. They were all over the place. Josh's cemetery was a prominent feature on these maps as it was along the back way to the highway. So I waved to him on the way to the pool, on the way to soccer, the mall, going eastbound, and coming back into town. We celebrated each of our birthdays at Sarah's over the years with a slice of cake and one of those gold birthday crowns with the tight elastic straps. We wore the crown even though when we were teens it was getting pretty folded in half with creases on either side, but we still tucked the strap under our chins, at least for the singing part. By the time Andrew and I turned 21, we had lived longer than Josh. It's crazy how you can use the same time to count someone forward and someone back. There are photos of my brother, Andrew, and I in front of Josh's apple tree every Halloween and every first day of school. You can see us grow taller against it like pencil marks on a wall. Much like Josh's death, I have no memory of the tree being planted, but I grew up under it.